Hey everyone, it's James Bagley here. Welcome aboard. It's another episode of the MBA podcast. We've got episode 181 for you today. 3 steps to master client meetings. And of course, with me, I've got Ash Playstead, strategy guru extraordinaire. I'll try and call you something different every week, mate.
You're doing well, James. I'm just keep it coming. I'm really loving it. And hey,
You take.
listeners, I'll take it. Episode 181. Well, guess what? If you listen or watch to an episode a day, you got 6 months worth of episodes. We're up to 6 months worth of an episode a day. So if you want to binge crazy, catch one episode a day for 6 months.
Ooh, 181. It's been a long time. It's been fun. Listeners, hope you're doing well. And we're still talking this month about Trusted Advisor, and which is in one of our key sections of our mortgage business blueprint. And last week we talked about what customers really want, and what they really want is peace of mind. They just don't want to have to worry or think about it. And we talked a little bit about, well, how do we position that? How do we set that up for clients? And this week, when we talk about the 3 steps to mastering client meetings, I wanted to keep it super simple and give you a real easy plan or a way of running a client meeting that's different to 99% of brokers. Because most brokers will show up to a client meeting and ask what the client wants. I'm looking to buy a home. Okay, great. What are you looking to buy? How much would you like to? Let's see how much you can borrow. Let's see what the best deal is right now. I'll go away and I'll do my research. Blah blah blah. Just like last week, doing that is kind of missing the point. And before I hand over to Ash, I just want to introduce what the 3 steps are to mastering client meetings. So this is assumed that you've already pre-qualified the person over the phone or in some other means. So in our Trusted Advisor process, we teach first doing a short triage to make sure you can help and you're not wasting their time or your time. And then if they do qualify and you do think you can help, you're now at an actual meeting where you're sitting down with them in real life or virtually, going over the bigger picture things. And that's the strategy session. This is the place where most brokers start to talk about borrowing capacity and lenders and rates and all that sort of stuff. Instead, what we're going to do is something simple but really powerful, and we're going to elevate the conversation to a bigger picture and start talking about more holistic needs. And the way we do that is very simple. It's 3 steps. First step is ask the client where they are right now, like understand their situation right now, financially and in their life. Step 2 is you work out, well, where do they want to get to? What's the goal with where they want to live? Where's their dream home? What's their dream lifestyle look like, etc. Now, that's not immediately. That could be 5, 10, 20 years in the future. And then you've got this now, and you've got this goal. And then it's your job to build a bridge. Step 3, build a bridge to help them on that journey towards that goal. It's pretty simple, Ash, isn't it? But how many brokers do you think actually take the time to ask and understand that from their client up front?
It's a really good question, and I don't have any empirical data to validate this, but I would say if we're sitting, I don't know, 15 to 20,000 brokers across, the country and New Zealand, I would say at least 50%, maybe even as high as 75% of brokers don't approach client interactions in this way. There is a small percentage who hit the ground running as brokers who naturally do this. It's a natural skill they bring to the table, perhaps from their previous career or a natural inclination. They still need help to refine it. But for the 95% of brokers in the industry, this is a great framework to follow. Because I think that's one of the challenges that needs to be addressed as a broker is going into a meeting with a prospect. If you're not prepared and you don't have a framework to follow, it's very easy to get caught wrong-footed, which is when I think a lot of people end up under pressure, reverting back to what they know, which is price, product, choice, options, size, all of those things that sit at a more corporatized approach as opposed to a personal approach. I think a lot of people fall to that trap, not because they want to, it's because they default to it under duress from the customer. And the customer looks down there over their kitchen table and says, well, here's all the other people I've spoken to. Why should I deal with you? That's that sense of feeling. So I think this framework is critically important, to set up, to follow, to train yourself and or your team to follow. Over time, you get really good at it. You can adapt it, you customize it, you inject your own personality in, but you still got to have a process to follow. It's not quite a script, but it's a process. So I think from that perspective, as we talk about a lot with the work we do with mortgage brokers, James, is all aspects of your business need to be as systemised, documented, process-based as possible. There's a lot of reasons for that, which we won't go into in this episode, but how you approach prospect interactions, a lot of people think, oh, that's just turn up and win the business. Well, yes, yes, it sort of is. However, there is a process to follow, right, that allows you to have key milestones to work through if you get off track. I think that's a critical insight as to why this is so important. And the second thing is, if you're building a team of consultants, you need to model the right behavior. You need to have documented the right behavior so that you can then teach the right process and behavior.
Oh, yes, I like that. We were talking about mastering client meetings. The only way to master is, as you said, it's understanding best practice, but then it's distilling that into a system that's documented. And then when you've done that, you can help your team and other consultants or mortgage brokers master their client meetings as well. So that's imperative. Like how we master them, well, with a system and a framework and a script, so it makes it fail safe. But there's definitely got to be that starting point as a business or a culture and a decision that when you sit down with clients, you're going to, if we go back to last week, Ash, we talked about what customers really want. They want someone to take control, take charge, help them get where they're really wanting to go and make sure they can sleep at night. So one of the best ways of doing that is by digging into what they really want as well. So not what they really want, which we talked about last week, which is not wanting to think about it, but what they really want as an outcome. So how do I master client meetings? Well, I need to dig deep into who is this person in front of me? Like, what is their life situation right now? And what do they want it to be like? And how can I help them get there? It's a simple shift. And the beauty of it, of course, is as brokers, we can give them a simple strategy or a plan to help move them in that direction. Lo and behold, of course, that strategy is going to include lending or loans. We might need to refinance and get a better deal, free up capital, get you pre-approved for something. That loans will be included in that bridge. And the other beauty, which I'll, I guess, plant the seed for future, I think even next week's conversation, Ash, is that it makes referrals to other professionals really easy. Because if you're helping somebody get to their goal, well, it's going to include more than just loans. So you can embed referrals into that process too. So it makes it so powerful. And then when you do this in a client meeting, that customer is going to be, wow, they've taken the time to understand me. They have taken the time to work out where I want to go, and they're really helping me get there. Finally, there's someone that's in my corner helping me achieve these things. So it's a double whammy, Ash. This week's episode and last week's, they're sleeping at night because someone's looking after them. But in this episode, they're sleeping at night and someone's looking after them, not just helping them get a loan, but looking after their situation towards their goals for life. So it's triple powerful.
Oh, triple powerful. All of these discussions are linked together 100%. Just as and I've got a process that I use, James, which is pretty much this process, but I've given it a slightly different name. It sort of sits inside this three-step process as another little three-step process, and it's called the PAS. It's not, I didn't invent it, someone else came up with it. P stands for problem, A stands for agitate, and S stands for solve. So it's about identifying the problem, agitating it, which is describing the hell or heaven if they do fix it versus if they don't fix it, and then positioning yourself as the solution. Exactly what you're talking about. Now, a very simple, practical example of that, which I've spoken about many times, which I'll repeat here, everyone, is when a client sits down, I always identify a problem around interest, which is, do you realize that if you don't figure out how to pay your loan off faster, you'll pay double price of your house in interest? So all you're doing is putting massive profits in the hands of the bank. And they're like, oh, okay, so yes, if I borrow 500,000, I'll pay back more than 1 million. Yes, you will. Even though that seems obvious, most people it jolts and shocks them. And you agitate it worse. And that might be comments along the line of, well, do you want to wake up in 25 years still putting money in the bank's hands? No, I don't. All right, here's the solution. So so identifying a problem is not about poking the bear. It's about identifying what happens if you don't address the underlying problem. I think because you mentioned dreams, James, of course, and behind every dream, there's a problem that people might feel is stopping them from achieving this dream. It might be, I don't know what to do. I don't understand this. I haven't got enough super. Or, there's always a problem sitting behind that you need to fix. So I like to identify the problem, agitate it, which is describe the heaven and hell version of fixing it versus not fixing it, and then very simply position yourself as the provider of the solution. And when you do it like that, as we know, right, James, you're never ever selling anything. 99 times out of 100, the prospect will just look at you and say words to the effect of, well, what do we do now? Which is code for, where do I sign?
Mm-hmm. I love
Right.
that.
So that's just a practical example for listeners. If you're new in this industry, you probably haven't heard me talk about it before. If you've listened to a few episodes and you've been in the industry for a while, you might have heard me talk about that before. It's just a really good, simple, practical example of one area where you can identify a problem, agitate it a bit, like a doctor does. What does a doctor do? Oh, here's the problem. You can do nothing and die, maybe, or you can fix it and live another 30 years of productive life, and I'm the best in the world at fixing it. What would you like to do?
Mm-hmm. I like that you took it to that advanced level, Ash, because that is the next step of this, isn't it? You've got mastering client meetings, uh, elevating the conversation, understanding their now, their goal, and helping them build a bridge. But the biggest thing, of course, is that PAS, the problem, agitate, solve, as part of that, because one thing we've talked about in other environments with our members is this concept of apathy. The concept of, you could actually sit with a client and they go, here's my situation, here's where I'd like to be, my goal. You can help them, show them the way and build them a bridge, and then they're like, can't be bothered getting their details back to you. Like, if you haven't made them aware of the problem and got them uncomfortable about that problem, this process might fall flat. So it's not just about, where are you now? Where do you want to be? Great, let's do something, to help you get there. It's, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And as part of that conversation, it's, why do you not want to stay where you are right now? Like, because people need a little bit of discomfort to create action in their world. So if we're going for mastery, aren't we, Ash, in client meetings? So to truly master it, it's, where are you right now, and where do you want to be, and how are you going to feel if you never get there? How are you going to feel if you stay stuck where you are right now? And make them aware of, yes, you're going to build a bridge, but before you build the bridge, make them aware of how big that gap is. Like, that gap could be huge. It could be, well, let's think about it. Like, when we're talking about mortgages, like, as you talked about, paying too much interest or not investing and not getting ahead, having to work till you're 70, not being able to go on the trips and provide for your family the way you want. that gap can be huge. And if you make that gap and the problem and the agitation strong enough, you're going to help that person get out of their own way and get the stuff done. So if you're ever sitting there going, my customer, I can save them a whole bunch of money, but they're just dragging their heels and they're not getting the paperwork back, and they go cold on me, it's because you might have done part of this, but you haven't created enough why or enough needs. I'm really glad you did that. That's the magic sauce to drizzle over the top of this 3-step process.
We like to drizzle the magic sauce and then give you guys a bit of a path to follow. Obviously, we'd love to work with you to help you really assimilate this knowledge into your personal and business life. But at the very least, this is not just Ash and James's lived experience. This is the distillation of thousands of clients, hundreds of brokers over decades. So, and there'll be plenty of you out there that are more mature in the industry who'll be nodding your heads going, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. There's a huge amount of people in the industry who are, I guess, we need to jolt. I hope you guys are getting a bit of a jolt that, you don't go into client meetings thinking, I need to be the best service provider. You need to be a diagnostician. You need to diagnose people, partly their lending challenge, of course, if there is one, but most importantly, their life challenge. And within that life challenge, behind every happy customer, there's a problem. I guarantee you, everyone has a problem that they're not telling you about. Your job is to find it, poke it, diagnose it, describe what would happen if they don't take any action, describe the upside of taking action, and then just sit there and look at them until they say, what do we do next? Because that's what always happens. And that's your job, in my opinion, as a mortgage advisor, is to diagnose, agitate, solve people's big life challenges and opportunities. Yeah. And when you do that, James, they're clients for life. We know it's a proven trait of human nature that people run from pain at twice the speed they run towards pleasure. So using pain as a tool is very important. You're doing them a favor. In fact, I would flip that over and say you are doing a disservice to clients if you don't uncover their pain.
Oh, yeah. And this is, all of our listeners, I hope, are in this business for two reasons: to earn money and build an asset. This is a business, not a charity, and to help your clients to the next level. Everybody wants to do the right thing and help their client. This is how to do it, right? If you want to be able to really step up for your clients and create clients for life, and then have them want to talk about you and refer to you all the time, well, this is how to do it. If you want to secure your trail book, grow the value of your business asset, and have an amazing database, this is how to do it. So it's a little bit uncomfortable because it's different to how most brokers operate. And a lot of brokers would be uncomfortable about sitting down with a client and almost pushing or forcing them into this line of questioning, as opposed to just being a sit back and be of service in the loan space. So yes, it's a little bit extra work. It's probably not, maybe it's going to challenge certain clients, but remember from last week, that's what they really want. It's what's in their best interest. It's what's in your best interests. It's what every broker should be doing in their meetings. And there are so many other side benefits, of which we're going to talk about in future episodes over the next week or two, which are around, of course, getting referrals in and referring to other professionals too. So we'll talk about that, I think, next week. Ash, we can start to tie all these episodes this month together. So is there anything else you'd like to touch on with this episode?
One last little allegory. I love my little allegories is, and this is to go back to the doctor one again, and I would put it to everyone listening or watching this. Have you met a doctor that doesn't have great bedside manners before? Yes, most of them, right? They're, they do their job. They're not particularly polite. They're not particularly engaging. They get you in, get you out. That's the general theme with some exception. Now, I want to say to everybody, there's a reason for that. It's not because they're bad people. The reason for that is they're literally dealing with your life. So we have this sense with surgeons and surgeons particularly, that I don't care about your manners. I just need to know you can save my life. That's all I care about, or fix my bung hip in my case, right? That's all I need to know. However, let's go across now to the mortgage industry, where we go in to talk to people thinking we have to be nice, we have to win them, da da da. Well, maybe. However, I challenge each one of you to shift your thinking, shift your mindset to that of a surgeon, not to be rude, but to understand that in the heart and mind of every one of your prospects is fear and trepidation. And I would argue that dealing with mortgages and money and the gap between where you are and where you'd like to be financially is right up there with death, taxes, and public speaking as the things that scare the living daylights out of people. So just keep that in mind, everyone. You are the solution provider for one of life's biggest problems and challenges for your customers. Never forget that's who you are. You're not just an intermediary connecting them with a loan. You are a solution provider akin to major surgery. Never forget that.
That's that's massive. It's not like you've gone down to your local cafe and ordered a coffee. Well, okay, the person, the barista, the person waiting the table, that's expected that they're going to be friendly. You know, you want a smile with your cup of coffee. You know, that's part of the deal. But as you go up the seriousness scale, as you said, Ash, you know, like we're talking about major things in your life, either financially or health. It's the same as your personal trainer. If you have one, you go to the gym. They're not your friend. They're not there to be nice to you. They're there to get you fit. Your surgeon is there to save your life. Your personal trainer is there to get you fit. Like in our business, our advisors and our business coaches are not there to be your friend and to be nice. We're there to get you results in your business, challenge your thinking, and help you get where you want to go. If it's friendly, kind of missing the point, right, Ash? So I'm really glad you brought that up. That's another key point, key mindset shift, I guess, a lot of brokers might need to make, in that it's not about being nice. It's about getting them what they need. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with doing what's required. So they default into smiling and being nice and then just doing what's required at the base level. But, you know, if we challenge all our listeners to really step up and, you know, and be that I'm in charge of my client's biggest financial purchases, that's a massive deal. I reckon in every one of our listeners' minds right now, the light switches and you go, you're right. Why do I need to show up patting the dog and smiling? This is a big, important decision. I should take it seriously and approach it in a different way, making sure I'm asking the right questions and I'm challenging my customer and pushing them in the direction they need to go, and not just being nice and being smiling and help them get a good deal and giving them what they want. So that's epic, Ash.
100%. I was going to say 110%, James, but there is no such thing. 100% correct. And I hear a lot from mortgage brokers about losing a lot of clients between asking for documents and getting documents back. There's, you know, all sorts of reasons, and that's just an example of people don't get documents back to you because they're still shopping around for people who are nice and give great service. So what I'm trying to say here is your prospects can always shop around for niceness and service. What they can't shop around for is the best lifesaver, right? So yes, if you're a nice person and you want to be nice, great. I support that. It's not a bit, but be the best lifesaver. Be the best surgeon. Nobody can shop around for the beyond the best surgeon, right? So it's really critical to adopt that thinking and watch your customers stick to you like glue, right? Because they're no longer shopping around for better service or nicer brokers. They're with the best surgeon, right? If you're nice, that's a bonus, but you don't have to be.
Yeah, we're not saying to not be nice, but yeah, it's a bonus. Thanks, Ash. Listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's 3 steps to master client meetings. We want you all to really own this space and really continue to not just professionalize, but really elevate, the standing of brokers, above the others. Let's just be, okay, accountants, financial planners. We know what it's like. Okay, brokers, I'm sorry, but right now you are below an accountant and a financial planner in the minds of the people, and that's how it works. But it's our job to show you how to step above and beyond those professions that enjoy a higher status.
Okay.
And there's no reason brokers should not be seen in the same way. That's how to do it. That's how to elevate your client meetings. If you haven't already, listen to last week's episode. It'll tie in nicely with this week's. And in the next week or two, we're going to continue discussions in this space to make your sales and meeting process more powerful in a few different ways. So stay tuned to next week. Ash, have yourself a good week. Listeners, you too.
Indeed, I will, James. See you next week.
Good stuff. Okay. See everybody. Bye for now.